All right. Welcome you all to the July 2024 Health Class USA. We are back at our noon time. We just finished our community health prayers, and now we are on to Health Class USA. We're back at 12:30 every month, first Saturday of the month. All right. So, this is America's shortest health class, so we won't be here with you long, but today you don't want to miss. We're talking about foot cramps and foot pain, how to get rid of it from the inside as well as the outside. So I'm going to be giving you 4 different strategies plus a little bonus strategy of natural ways that you can get rid of it externally as well as internally. So you don't want to miss today's message. All right. So let's talk about the internal ways, all right? So health is an inside job, which is what I often like to start with. And for those who don't know me and who will be watching the replay, and those who are joining us live right now on YouTube, welcome. I am Shawnte Health Wells. Listen, your chief health shepherd and prevention expert. I am a former nationally certified and licensed athletic trainer. I've spent the bulk of my career in the sports medicine industry, so I am no stranger to pain, and especially foot pain. So, the ankle and the knee were my top 2 areas that I specialized in treating. All right, so let's get to the internal methods. So it's important to know what type of pain and typically when it occurs and the part that it's occurring in, if you're physically active or whether or not you were just sitting at rest. So typically it's usually going to be based on either potassium or usually magnesium. So if you're experiencing a potassium type of a cramp or pain, it's typically while you're doing a specific activity. So let's say if you were out walking and you started to feel a cramp, within those muscles, that is more often than not, especially at the beginning or even in the middle or even towards the end, that is more than likely a potassium based type of cramp. Now, I don't know if you're like me and you've ever experienced some of those cramps that happen at night, or maybe you were just sitting down, you weren't doing nothing. You weren't working out. It wasn't some type of experience like that, and you just got the pain out of nowhere. Is more often than not is going to be because of a magnesium deficiency. So now that we get the 2 different that we're going to address, now I can help you with some natural remedies so that you can get rid of it. I want you to put in the chat or in the comments, get rid of it. It's time for it to go. As Martin used to say, I used to love that show, get to stepping. So how do I make these cramps get to stepping? I'm glad that you asked. So internally, when you're talking about addressing this from the inside out, think about electrolytes. You can make your own version of an electrolyte solution, or you can just buy one. I highly recommend, if you're going to buy one, get something like Element, LMNT. It's an awesome, phenomenal, natural electrolyte, supplement that I absolutely love. Like, you can just pour it as I've done this. So the pure one is in this. I put my flax seeds and some PBX powder if I've been wildcatting, as I like to call, on a cheat day. You don't want to miss my next 100 Health show. I'm going to be talking about cheating better. So in my Wonder Woman aluminum container here, that is where I put my electrolyte solution. So I simply just pour the solution in with and fill this with water, shake that bad boy up, and get on up out of here. So that is how, with the volume of people that I have to work on and the type of work that I do, I can't afford to be cramping up myself. So sometimes, especially when I know I'm gonna be away from home and I'm not able to really tend to and make my own, mix by cutting up and slicing some oranges. I also use kiwi in mine specifically because kiwi is a super fruit. And so you can soak those. Some people soak pineapples and other things, but definitely oranges for sure is something that's a big, natural, easy way that you can actually soak, put it in some water and in a container and do it that way. But for me, my lifestyle doesn't support that. So that is why I use Element. There are other variations you can find in a Sprouts or a Whole Food or a Trader Joe's. I'm sure of it. So you make sure that you address your electrolyte situation. It costs you electrolytes to move your body. It costs you electrolytes, and specifically, most Americans don't get enough potassium. So potassium usually about one of the first to go. All right. So you need to replace the electrolytes because you spent that money. You spent more than what you had in the bank. All right. Hopefully that point is clear. You can do it by drinking it. You can also make sure that you address this internally by hydrating properly, meaning having enough of water. So making sure you're having at least half of your body weight in ounces of water. If you are in a very hot, humid climate, or even one of those dry heat desert type climates, you need to possibly take it up about another 5%. So let's say if you normally needed 100 ounces of water, you might need 105 ounces during the summer. All right. Just to give you a whole number type of example. All right. Listen, I wanted to make sure that we started there. Now, nitric oxide is a powerful molecule, something that I'm putting this on the internal thing because of the way that we're going to breathe to get more of it inside. And no, I'm not talking about, there are nitric oxide supplements out there. That is not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the free, good old fashioned way that you can bring that molecule that typically is in your nostrils right on the inside of your body. All right. So that it can help you with your pain receptors and help your nerves, help you decrease your pain naturally. You like that, huh? So we just addressed the electrolytes. I highly recommend Element. You can pick whatever one that you find that works for you. I use Element with me and my people, my athletes, my health leads, people who come to me professionally. That is what I recommend, and that is also what I use. So Element is, to me, one of the best electrolyte companies that are on the market. And I can't have no jellyback, electrolytes and stuff when it comes down to dealing with athletes, people who are real true assets to those sporting organizations. So I can't have no fly by night type stuff. Element is the real deal. All right. Just in case you was wondering. So the stakes are too high for me to be playing around and trying 50 million, supplements, and it's just a bunch of foolery. So I don't recommend nothing unless I've fully vetted it. So it's met my standard of care and it actually delivers what it's supposed to, which is why my guys typically are always healthier than the average Joe. Just saying, when it comes down to the typical volume of injuries and cramps and all that kind of stuff in the sports medicine industry. I don't play them kind of games. All right. So we want to make sure we're doing something that's called physiological size. I learned this technique from Dr. Andrew Huberman. You can check out Stanford University's Huberman Lab. They have amazing data and research on this, as well as videos on how to do it. So it's simply taking 2 inhales in and then sighing it out through your mouth. It looks like this. Now, I typically usually recommend the 4-7-8 method for nitric oxide, but in this instance, when we're talking about cramps and pain, I'm going to go the route of the physiological size because of that quick burst. It's something shorter and faster, and you can do, anywhere from 10 to 20 of those cycles, but we're going to get that super fast, supercharged, which is what I want, a nitric oxide coming right on in. So let's do a few of them together. You ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's 1. That's 2. That's 3. That's 4. That's 5. All right. So that's 5. We set you free with 5. So physiological size. That's an easy internal way that you can get that nitric oxide in to help you. It'll travel and get to where it needs to get to help you naturally decrease that pain. I got more. Let's deal with the outside. All right. So topical magnesium. If you're dealing with magnesium pain, meaning you ain't doing nothing middle of the night or just out of nowhere, you could be just at work and all of a sudden you caught a cramp. More often than not, it's because of a magnesium deficiency. Most Americans do not have enough magnesium in their diet. So highly recommend something by a company called Activation Products. It's called Ease Magnesium Spray. You can literally spray. So I'm not making this up. A week ago, I was dancing at church and people were moving in the midst of us actually dancing. And guess what? Your girl took a hard fall to the ground, rolled over my ankle completely. Guess who's not in pain right now? Guess who's up and was able to continue going? Guess who? And it was tweaked. It definitely was swollen. But because I take care of that magnesium and I am actually taking care into doing the things that I use for my athletes, no difference. And I tweaked that thing real good. Most people, it probably would have torn a ligament or two. But because I'm so dedicated to prevention and early action, should something happen, that magnesium was a game changer. I literally had magnesium with me. I travel with a small bottle of magnesium. Listen, I don't play with it. I'm going to show you what mine looks like. I do not play. Got this right on from Target, a nice little bottle. And guess what? I pour my liquid magnesium with me and I travel with me just in case, or I may have an impromptu call. I work on call as well. So I ain't got time to play with it. This magnesium, listen, it's for cheesy. Listen, that along with the elevation, along with the NSAIDs. And then my next thing is contrast therapy. So typically our protocols will call for you to put cold on there, which I definitely did ice, but I also, like I would say probably like 7 hours later in the day, guess what I switched to? I switched to the heat and then I went back to the cold. It's called contrast therapy. You could do that through ice massage. You can do that through a foot soak, but whatever it takes. I have Epsom salt, which is, full of magnesium, soaks that I can actually put in my little foot bath and use that. But because I also have a readily available, liquid magnesium, which is transdermal, it's the most bioavailable type. It goes into your bloodstream. And guess what? Your girl was out of pain just like that. And I was able to get right back into dance rehearsals this week, Tuesday that just passed without a problem. I'm telling you, last Sunday, I fell and I rolled and twisted over that ankle. I'm talking about I was barely able to touch it down once like the adrenaline came down from like dancing. I'm telling you, when I was leaving church, I was hopping. All right. So I'm telling you, not something that I heard. I'm telling not just something I studied, something that I've actively used. My ankle, my foot was in pain and I ain't got that pain no more. My foot is just fine. I've been working on other people and just fine. So when I tell you that topical magnesium is a game changer when it comes down to foot pain, foot cramps, or just, or maybe you've injured your foot, you need to become friends with Ease Magnesium, the topical magnesium spray. Rub that bad boy in. I'm telling you, you're going to be Gucci, as we like to say in Miami. Y'all know I'm from the 305, baby, all day 305. Hey, and then I need you to think about something when we're in enough pain. You ever seen anybody go like, You know what's happening? And when you're doing that, you're naturally wired to hum. You know what humming does? Humming releases more nitric oxide. So that is an easy external thing that you can do. You could start humming. Humming is going to help your body be able to deal with the pain faster. So not only can you do the physiological side, maybe some of you are not feeling that, you can do humming. Your body naturally, when you're in enough pain, you ever seen people, they rocking back and forth to my maybe you need to sit there and just so that you can do what you need to do to stimulate the nitric oxide. So some people have vibrating plates and pads. You can put your feet on those as well. They work for the same purposes. So I'm telling you, I also have this thing, a device called Therapist Select. and it's a vibrating and it delivers heat at the same time. So that is something that I also used on my foot area. And again, I'll switch back. So 2 minutes, I do 2 minutes hot, 1 minute cold, 2 minutes hot, 1 minute cold. Contrast therapy. So that's an easy ratio. It's something that I found that works for most people. You can do 1-to-1 if you want. 2-to-1 is that sweet spot. So just to recap, what did we learn today? Internal and external ways to get rid of foot pain, foot cramps. All right. So is my problem magnesium or is it potassium? If it's a potassium-based type of pain, then you need to go ahead and make sure that you address your electrolytes. You need to make sure that you are getting your electrolytes and specifically enough potassium in. Then you need to make sure you tap in and do some physiological sighs. That's 2 breaths in and you sigh it in through your nostrils and sigh it out through your mouth. Then I said humming. That's an internal thing that you can do to stimulate the release of nitric oxide. You can also have topical magnesium. These are all external methods. And then contrast therapy. Or if you don't want to do the heat, you can just stick to the cold therapy. You can put some ice on it, or you could put, do a little ice bath, foot bath, or get an ice pack, and wrap it around it. Whatever floats your boat. So for me, the immediate course was I did the magnesium spray because that's what I had. And as soon as I walked in the house, I grabbed my ice pack out of the freezer and I did 15 minutes of ice. And then a few hours later, I switched into the contrast therapy. I did take an NSAID ibuprofen right away as soon as it happened so that I could counteract some of that. But if you can't take NSAIDs, that's okay. You don't have to. These methods right here. And also I elevated it. I was intentional to elevate it so that I could go in and circumvent that. I didn't want my body going over the top with inflammation. I didn't want my body, the pain receptors to be running rampant and loose. And I also was intentional not to eat any junk for the rest of that day because I didn't need my body trying to fight on 2 fronts. You want to make sure you're consuming antioxidants on the inside, making sure that you have, what you need, specifically glutathione. So I was intentional to make sure I had dark leafy veggies. I always make sure I keep kiwi in the house. So I was intentional and made sure that I the kiwi. You want antioxidants. You don't want junk food if you're dealing with a foot injury or foot pain or foot cramps. You want to go as natural and healthy as you possibly can, at least for that day. All right. So I'm Shawnte and I am walking the abundant health way. I invite you all to type any questions you have in the chat, or if you'd like to unmute and ask a question, I will open the floor for you to do so at this time. Are there any questions here or on YouTube? Anyone in the Zoom or on YouTube that have a question? Any questions? All right, awesome. All hearts and minds are clear. Love you guys. It feels good to be back. Health Class USA. We're here to stay, baby. I'll see y'all next month. Same bat place, same bat time, right here on Zoom, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you don't know where to get the link, you can always visit the Abundant Health Service page, and it is there, or missw.org, or if all else fails, on our YouTube channel. It's always broadcast live, 12:30. And if you wanted to join us for the global prayer, that's at 12 noon. I love you guys.